savagery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive, factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremonies, Sam, and I am joined, as always, by Dan from Bleeding Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
I made it through career. I can make it through this bullshit.
Hi, Dan. Genius. Absolutely.
Direct quote, very relevant. Thank you. Goodbye.
Totally fits. I think you should just say that from now on. I can make it through this. Oh no, because I'm going to get that song stuck in my head. I got to get through this.
God, Daniel
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh. Hi everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Monsters Up North podcast. This week we're going back to the 80s. We left the 30s. I've had that song stuck in my head today. Now I've got another one for all different reasons. So don't do it. Yeah, so this week I got lost there. I was like, I can't have that song in my head again.
She was rebooting. You should have seen her face. She was
I really did. I shut down and then restarted.
Turned her off and on again. She's good.
Oh gosh, this week we're doing this is the title itself is like it's long. For a movie, it's kind of long.
Over-explanatory, if you ask me.
Yeah. Because it's like you see the title and if someone turns around and go, "What's it about?" It's telling you, it's killer clowns from outer space. in my very thick fake Geordie accent. Killer clowns from outer space. So yeah,
well, it could be in mine. Killer clowns from outer space. So it's
killer clowns from it. Yeah, actually, yours sounds better.
Killer clowns from outer space.
You look like you've lost your teeth there.
Shit, happens again. Where's my denture fix or whatever it's called? Where's it?
Put your teeth back in, love. Killer clowns from the space. I'll do the disclaimer and then we're gonna crack on open this cotton candy
monstrosity.
Whatever this is. I actually love this film, so I'm gonna not shit on it. But everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on our socials. Or you can join us in the comments where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. Because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of her nerdism.
And as we commonly all agree collectively, do not be a dick. Thank you. Good night.
Just don't do it.
No.
No.
People, 1 star. Do not recommend.
Hey, right. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is the 1988 science fiction comedy horror film produced by the I knew I was going to do this. Chiodo brothers.
Chiodo,
yeah. Who also created the practical effects and makeup, with Stephen directing from a script he co-wrote with Charles. It is the only film written and directed by the Chiodos. It concerns evil extraterrestrials that resemble clowns arriving on Earth and invading a small town in order to capture, kill, and harvest the human inhabitants for substance. In space, no one can eat ice cream. As Monsters Up North brings you Killer Clowns from Out of Space.
That's by far the most ridiculous rip-off parody tagline I've ever heard.
I thought it was genius.
Oh, it is, but for fuck's sake.
In space, no one can eat ice cream. And if you've not seen this movie, that would mean absolutely nothing to you.
Mm.
But if you have seen this movie, it will make a whole lot of sense. I actually only watched this a few years ago when the hype kind of kicked in, like Halloween Horror Nights and like, oh, the clowns are coming back and we've not seen these for fucking ages. And I was like, let's see what this is all about. And I watched it and I was like, what has my eyes just witnessed?
This colourful cornucopia of stuff.
Something.
Yeah.
The the palette in this is marvelous. It is marvelous.
It's a lot. It's a lot for the eyes.
Uh-huh. For the especially when you're talking about the 80s.
Mm.
And the 80s has got some great color palettes about it. But even this was a little bit too and the set design was clean. Like really clean. It didn't look as janky as what you would expect it from this type of movie.
Well, their budget was between 1.8 and 2 million for
Mm.
this entire film. And it's rumored that the majority of the budget went on production. So that's why the set does look as good as it does. And that's why you've got practical things like the actual tent there and things like that. So all the set pieces were reused in different ways to create different kinds of like environments within the spaceship on the inside, but there's not much information about that either. So that's the
No.
little bit I did sort of garner.
So when we decided to do this movie, one, it's an 80s classic, so why not? But we generally thought that there'd be a lot to do with the production side. No, like, yeah, the set production side of it, the makeup side of it, the costumes, prosthetics, because it's the brothers who did it also did that. There's nothing.
Mm-mm.
There is
They do not give their
absolutely
secrets.
no, there is absolutely nothing out there in really apart from they didn't do the majority of the special effects and not the makeup because obviously, but on set kind of things because they wanted to be able to do their actual production duties. Um and they were very heavily the miniature of Clownzilla.
Jojo.
They they worked on that. And Clownzilla is Stephen. Yeah?
I do think so. No, Charlie.
Charlie. Oh, right. Damn it. I thought I remembered that one. But so production wise, this movie, the outer space part, because it was initially just called Killer Clowns, but they added the outer space part because they didn't want it, because obviously we're in the 80s, we're in the, throes of slasher movies. They didn't want it to be associated with a slasher, so they were like, let's shove outer space in there.
And the thing that they did do with this, now, I was trying to look into this because I was curious what come first. Did Pennywise come first, or did this come first and then it all just sort of managed to come out at the same time? Stephen King wrote it in 81 and it was finally published in 86. This movie was filmed in 87 and released in 88. So there was a very close time between the success of the book of it and then the script being written and them starting filming. So it could be that two people came up with fantastic ideas about clowns. I mean, obviously one's a sci-fi. Well, technically they're both sci-fi if we're going to go into Pennywise as the whole legend and the living in the universe and the world eaters and all that sort of shit that goes on with that whole thing, the dark lights and whatever. But yeah, predominantly this is based in space aliens shit, and this is horror. But yeah, they are either they both just settled on this really like niche idea. Like two people can have the same idea. It's perfectly at completely different times and not even been influenced by the other person. But it's so close between when the book was released to when the script started to write that there is a possibility that they looked at the success that it was having through being a book and thought to themselves, like, do you know what? I'm inspired to write something myself. And they've gone on and jumped on this clown bandwagon. But at the miniseries of it wasn't done until 1990, so that came 2 years after this film. So there's swings and roundabouts. You could say that the book might not have been very, successful, but I think it was if it went on to be a TV miniseries. So there was obviously legs in the book there for them to make it into that for it. But Killer Clowns, this is the funny thing about this for me. A lot of people do have now I think it's called chlorophobia.
As a fear of clowns.
Fear of clowns, right? It all stems from the 80s and the use of Pennywise and the use of clowns going from birthday party surprises to being these things that could eat you. And
I mean, Gacy didn't do the clown community a good turn either.
no, he didn't, but he was very focused on one type. He had his lane. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like he wasn't a catch-all situation.
True.
He was very much into the young gentleman.
Mm.
He did not do well for the traditional style clowns. These guys were far from traditional. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
their head shapes were weird. Like Pennywise's was very bulbous. Like even when you look at Tim Curry in the even how he's described in the book is very similar to how Tim looked. The makeup they did for Tim. So they threw his proportions out, which was fantastic. So when you look at the proportions on Killer Clowns, they've even gone that one extra step up where they've had. I can't even describe the shapes of these.
You can't, because they're all different, and that's the most unique part of. I'm just going to say this, and I said at the beginning, I do love this movie, but not buts. There's no buts in this. The clowns are so unique. Every single one is different. They all have their own little personalities. They all have their own little names. My favorite is always I can't remember his name off the top of my head. The little one. Yeah. Shorty. Oh, that's it, isn't it? That's the connection.
I think there it was. Right. Okay. I wrote.
Have you got the names?
I wrote the name down of the ones that they call the main clowns.
I got you.
So you had Jumbo,
Yeah.
Fatso, Shorty, Rudy, Spiky, Slim, Bibbo, and Chubby. Right.
Yeah.
And then on this it tells you which one was who. Jumbo was the one that was puppeteering Mooney.
Right.
Fatso was the one who gave the Valentine's card to the lady.
Yeah.
Well, we all know who Shorty is. Rudy was the one who found Mike and Debbie at the very beginning. Spiky did the puppet show. Slim did the dinosaur shadow puppet show.
Yeah, and then
Yep. Bibbo was the one with the mohawk, and Chubby was the one that. Hang on, next page. Was the one that was drinking through the straw.
Right.
So they're the main ones. But what I did read was that for that end sequence, there were 40 clown makeups.
Yeah.
40. That's insane.
40. The work that has gone into this. I mean, I said to Dan earlier, set aside the 80s the 80s acting in this movie. Set that aside. This production is unreal. This is it's unprecedented for a movie in 88 of this genre to actually come up with the shit that they came up with. The carnival, like it was so clean and crisp, and it's like, Jesus, this is like it doesn't even it's like it doesn't feel like it should be here. Like, but did you, I need to ask you this straight away before I forget, does this film remind you of anything?
There's elements of a couple of movies that I could say, yes, certain bits remind me of certain bits, but
the whole thing in its entirety reminded me of the original Blob.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Town being taken over.
Yeah.
Town being really confused.
The latex balloons I can get from the second Blob, when he's trying to burn that. But yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Oh, that's another thing that really confused me. They use candy floss to and for their people, but not her. She got a balloon.
It's special.
She must be. They must have really known. The cast in this is something special. Mike Tobacco.
I know that name. Every time I have to keep reading it and going back and making sure I'm reading it.
What?
What?
Mike Tobacco, played by Grant Kramer, has to be the most over exaggerate. And we watched Frankenhooker. Like he was more exaggerated than he was.
He
Because he was great.
I know when they wrote it, they wanted to reverse the roles so that Debbie was supposed to be the sensible one, and Mike was supposed to be the ditzy blonde. That was the setup that they wanted to flip it on their heads because they said it would be interesting. It didn't really come across like that to me. It came across a bit more as a weird love triangle situation.
It was like yeah, it was like Mike didn't get the hint.
Mike didn't get anything. He was so oblivious. He was like, "Mm."
You could clearly see that Debbie was very much up for Dave. And Dave clearly up for Debbie. Um yeah, Officer Dave Hanson, I fell in love with that man. That hair.
I was gonna say, was it
Um It was the hair, it was the presence, it was the stand back, Debbie. I have this. The
overacting? Yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic. Do you know if they remade this today, there is one actor I could put in his place. Is the guy from Scream Queens, the new Twister. He was in Hidden Figures.
I know who you mean.
If I genuinely thought they were related because of how much he looked like him, he acted like him. But wow, Officer Dave had a presence, and I paid attention.
I think when you're up against someone like John Vernon, though, you have to be able to stand your ground.
Wow,
John Vernon, right? Not everybody will not know the name, but you will either know the face or the voice.
the voice.
The guy's voice, he is infamous, his voice. I don't know. I couldn't pinpoint you one specific thing that he's voiced over, but I feel like he's done so many voiceovers. Like,
I
I
feel
don't know
like I
whether he's
knew
done
him.
movie. I don't know whether he's done like movie trailer things or voiceovers for ads or what, but you know his voice. There's no doubt about it. The minute he starts talking, you go,
Him.
I know that. I know him. What's what? It's really like it's so. It's a presence, and you know. And
Yeah.
David had to work his little butt off when he's
Oh
up
yeah.
against someone like John Vernon, who is just determined to. He hates all kids and absolutely everything, and I can empathize with him, to be honest with
If you any of you National Lampoon's fans out there, Animal House, he is Dean Vernon Warmer.
you. Right.
That's where I know him from. Animal House is one of my dad's favorite films. So yes, that's where I know him from. But he is classed as a villain actor.
Yeah.
He's if he was typecast, which I don't think, honestly, go looking at his filmography, I don't think he minded because the man worked.
Mhm.
Like he really, really worked.
Even up to his death,
Um,
2005,
two,
I think he died.
2002.
Right, yeah. So even up to his death, he worked.
Also, you Marvel fans, he was the voice of Tony Stark, Submariner in the Marvel superheroes, Rupert Thorne in Batman in the animated series, General Ross in the Incredible Hulk series, and Shao Kahn in the I'm very sorry if I've said that wrong. In the Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm. So he was a voice actor. He had to have used that voice for something because you can't let that go to waste.
No, every you know his voice. You've heard it somewhere. Honestly, he's you can tell that whatever he did, he put his all into it. And I don't know
Mhm.
if he knew what he was getting into doing this film, because this feels quite far away from.
Yeah, it's not, you know, when you're looking at a filmography where Dirty Harry is on there and Face Off from 1971 is on there, the $6 Million Man, like you're looking at them style names and then you just go a bit further down and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Yeah, it doesn't quite have the same thing. You're absolutely right. I'm so sorry. He did die in 2005. His last movie was 2002.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you look at him and you go, his presence from the beginning, like when he's roughhousing, the first words uttered in this entire movie are out of his mouth, and they are "son of a bitch," because he's just watching this kid walk past his car with some
Yeah, the
drinking a
beer.
beer or trying to hide the beer, and all he does is he snarls at him, and he's in the cop car, and he's like, "Son of a bitch," and I'm like, "Yep,
It's when
yep."
he's in the police station and he's like, "Wow, well, why don't we just go get these clowns and we can all get together and we can," and he is literally ripping the piss out of them.
The
But
wife's in a balloon. You need to see a psychiatrist. I'm like, "Yep."
yeah, he is a presence and I'm not gonna lie, he can kind of take you out of the film
hmm
because you you kind of know. I felt like I knew what I was going to expect from the acting.
Oh yeah,
Over 80s dramatic.
yeah.
Oh, the acting. And then he comes on screen and it does take us back to the Blob. It's Steve McQueen all over again, but they get the dark. Like
He's like, he's the only one who's had formal training, if you get what I mean. Like, you can see he's paid his dues over the years to get to
yeah. Oh, 100%.
and the
He is
others,
done. Yeah.
yeah, the other three are newbies. Like,
Oh yeah. He's like Shakespeare, they Timu. Like I don't like yeah,
uh,
there's a huge disconnect between him and the rest of the cast. But Officer Dave tries his best.
Mhm. Don't you pick on those boys? Why are you doing that? Why are you gonna do that? And I'm like, right, we're
Dave.
getting very defensive off of the off here, Dave. You know, like,
Yeah.
and his name was Kurt Mooney, if I remember rightly. The show, John
Officer
Bernard's character.
Curtis Mooney.
Yeah. So, you know, they're setting out the fact that Mooney is a old school,
Antagonist, I can't even say.
yeah, one of those guys. He don't stand for any kind of bullshit, very set in his ways. Whereas Dave's kind of progressive. He'd rather sit down and talk to them first. You know, they're trying to set that kind of like, he's the good guy and he's the bad guy. And
Let's just all have a conversation.
yeah,
Let's
very
not,
much.
Dave.
No, Dave, look where it got you, eh?
Exactly. Pie on your face.
Literally. In so many more ways than one.
This movie is absolutely crazy. Like I'm just like reading over the plot of it and I'm like, how do you like where do you start with that?
Pitch it. Like, you know, obviously someone somewhere thought, oh, because obviously it got distributed. So it got funded by somebody as well. I couldn't find out who funded the film, like what production company it went with. I'm
It,
sure if I dug a little bit deeper I would have, but
do you
like
know what?
I just couldn't.
It just feels like there's a lot of tight lips on this.
Yeah.
Like I don't there's not a great deal to do with the like I said earlier, the makeup or anything like that. There is some stuff that goes into now where we are now with this franchise, or the fact that we if you go on IMDb, there is a Killer Clowns from Outer Space 2 page,
Yeah.
all set up and ready to go for this movie to come out, and it never fucking happened.
And do you know why?
I do, but you can tell them.
No, you can tell them it's fine. It's just I firmly believe it could happen, but it's got to be now because the mouse has to say so.
Ah, touche. It was Critters 2.
Mm.
We are on the right thing when we agree there.
We're
Right?
different. We're, you
Okay,
get
so
yours and I'll tell
okay.
you.
No worries. I read that they decided to do the production work on Critters 2
Which they did.
instead of doing this movie.
Which they did. They did Crits too. They worked with Mike Garris.
Yes, that blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, I don't know that man, but I know that man.
But yeah, but the gist of it was 20th Century Fox wanted to do a Killer Clowns 2. They had the rights, they had the reason, they had everything ready pretty much to go, other than to be able to put it into play to, you know. Then Disney acquired 20th Century Fox and completely kiboshed it. They were like, no, we're not having it. it's not happening. So they shut it down, and they wouldn't let 20th Century Fox make Killer Clowns 2. I think the mouse is now slowly coming around to realizing that there's money in adult, and when I say adult films, I'm not talking about corn, I'm talking about like over 15,
Yeah.
We don't have PG-13 over here, we have PG, or you have 15s, or you have 18s. They rarely make 18s anymore because 15s are just, they cover everything really much in those. But the success of Wolverine and Deadpool movie for Disney alone
Of adult nature.
cemented, it just cemented to Disney that, okay, it's okay for us to put our brand on.
Yeah, this is safe. It's safe territory. We're okay. But nothing's gonna hurt us now.
So I think this is going to be where they start looking at dead projects or shelved projects and realizing, okay, yeah, we might be able to do something with that. My only caveat with it is if they do it, it's going to be CGI bollocks. And I hope the Chiodos still have the input in it, because I hope they didn't sell all their rights. I hope they still have some ownership on it. Again, you will never find this information out unless you speak to them directly, and that's even if they want to give it up, because trying to find any of this,
so difficult. I honestly thought we were going to have a jam-packed like makeup talk and prosthetic talk, and I even went on YouTube today and started watching nothing. There is nothing, which just blows my mind, especially with the level of it's perfect. Like them clowns look perfect. It's crazy. It's crazy to us.
animatronics as well. It's like they've made the massive prosthetic molds for the faces and the
Mhm.
hands. The animatronics that are in the faces alone, like Shorty's ear twitches, one of his
Their
ears,
eyes as well.
they blink, their mouths move. They are incredibly detailed animatronics for 1988. You've got to look at what else was around at that time. I think Labyrinth was very similar. So I don't think, obviously Henson didn't have anything to do with this, but like
No, no. But the advancement on animatronics actually came from Jim Henson, and it wasn't. And you may think it was Labyrinth. It was actually the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because I did that for the Nerdy Show, and I went into a deep dive because you know me, I like stuff like that, and I went into a deep dive about Henson and how he perfected what was what they had when it comes down to animatronics in costumes. But the ones in this popcorn, little popcorn moving.
that is, do you know, we both had that. We were both eating our tea when we were watching it, and we saw the little bit of popcorn sort of move across the floor. And I said to him, how the hell did they do that? I can't, my brain, first of all, this piece of popcorn is actual popcorn sized. It's not an oversized bit of popcorn for thing. And this thing is like, I don't know what you would even call it. It's just like sort of,
It's moving. Yeah. The only thing I could think of is string, and the thing is, you can see her feet. So it's not a case of using a small set, like you know how they would make like a tiny set where they could do it and make it blow it up, and but they couldn't, because her feet are in there. She is walking around it. So I'm like, because all I kept thinking of is there has to be a bit of string on that side, and they literally got it like as in a like pulley effect. But then I was like, no,
they didn't have the technology to paint things out very well, did they, back in the 80s? So I don't know how they fit animatronics.
Magic.
They would have had to fit some sort of puppetry into this thing, unless they had a false floor and they were underneath and they were somehow moving it along the tile. There was like crisscross tiles on the floor, and they might have been able to move it along that way. I don't know.
You could even go, well, they might have used magnets and had like false floor magnet, but it's the way it moves. It's not straight.
It kind of, the popcorn is sat there and the kernel bit is at the top and the lacy bit around the edges at the bottom, and the kernel bit at the top is pushing into floor and the lacy bit is sort of spreading out, and then it comes back up again. It looks like, you know, when like a jellyfish swims, it's got that motion to it, and that's not something you can replicate with the fake bit of popcorn easily, I wouldn't have thought. And I don't know why I'm so obsessed on that part of the entire film, because I think that tiny little bit fascinated me more than knowing how they do like
Yeah.
anything else.
No,
That bit I was like, how
I,
did
to-
you do that?
I totally get you, because the minute it came on, I was like, shit. Damn yous for not having any information on this. But I do think you're absolutely right that this is going to come back. It's in some capacity, because the video game came out last year. And I was saying to Anthony, did it do well? And you went, yeah, got an all right response.
Yeah,
For a franchise that has not been around since '88.
because I know this is the weird thing, because Disney bought 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Fox were the ones that had the thing. Now, technically, the mouse owned it at one point, but I now know that obviously most people know that Universal have it, because it's been at Universal Halloween Horror Nights. They do a lot of Killer Clown walkthroughs and shit like that. But I don't know if it's been lent to Universal, or Universal just had the distribution rights to the old film and had nothing to do with the sequel that was in the works. I don't know if the mouse owns the sequel, or it's very cloudy because there's nothing specific. But having been to Universal when the clowns have been there, I do know it's a thing. So
Yeah, in 2018, the Clowns their famous ice cream truck was featured there. And
mhm.
then but in 2019, on their 20th anniversary, that's when it was announced that the Killer Clowns were going to actually have their own. You nodding because you've been.
Into
Yeah.
both.
They had their own house, and I remember this. I remember because I watch a lot of like holiday vlogs and people who get press passes to go back, and they did the Halloween, and especially Halloween Horror Nights. Like I wanna see this shit, and they showed the press pass of the backstage before Halloween Horror, and it was the brothers were there and they were talking about but again, not giving too much away, just here's our clowns. We've recreated them like they're all clean and shiny.
Did you know there was a bit of competition between this film and another film at the same time?
No.
MGM, basically, I presume it was them that put the money forward, but I haven't found that out clearly. But MGM produced two low budget horror films at the same time, one being Killer Clowns and the other one was called Clown's House. Now, Killer Clowns went off to be what it is, and
Mhm.
Clown's House was directed by a very controversial director by today's standards, Victor Salva. Now, any horror film junkie will think to themselves, I know that name. Why do I know that name? Well, I'll give you two words. Jeepers Creepers.
I knew it. I knew you. I knew it. I knew you didn't even get the G out. Yep.
Yeah, Victor
Oh,
Salva
I.
basically was Clown's House's director. Now, a
Oh,
lot happened on that set. The films were incredibly different to each other, but he got convicted the year Killer Clowns came out in 1988 for sexually abusing the star of the film, the 12-year-old boy in the film, Clown's House,
oh, you fuck.
um, during the production, and there was videotaped evidence of him doing so. So he managed to keep it on a gag order until 2006, which is when the majority of people, I think Jeepers Creepers had come out by then, the film
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
and then people had started to realize, shit the bed, that's that guy.
How do you manage to get a gag order or something like that? Don't you like lose all your rights?
I don't know if it was the movie house. I don't know, because obviously if MGM own Clown House,
Oh, but
Clown,
then we need to say any more.
yeah,
MGM, fucking yeah,
I don't
honest.
know whether they turn around and went, right, there's a blanket gag order going over everybody and everything in that movie, because the kid didn't even get to go public until
Yeah,
it
say no more.
know about the
Fucking
conviction. But yeah, it was just one of the biggest controversies that was kind of running on the sidelines of Killer Clowns, because it was another clown movie at the time. So,
oh
and it
my
was in
goodness.
competition, but obviously it didn't get the same cult status and it didn't get the same love, regardless of the fact that none of the information about Victor was leaked. was made public till 2006. It might have even been when the limitations were up on it, so they were allowed to talk about it. I don't really understand American law that well.
I feel like I do because I watch a lot of SVU, but I don't. I didn't know actually about him until oh gosh, it was a few years ago now. Really in like in the grand scheme, it wasn't that long ago because I generally do like the Jeepers Creepers franchise.
You can
Like
like the films. I mean, the
the
issue that I have, you can't tar everybody in the film and say, no, terrible film, never watch it, when it is a good film.
Yeah, one
Just
person can't take away the rest of that. That's how I look at it, and you can say I'm wrong, but I just thought, what an amazing, unique creature,
Mhm.
monster.
We hadn't had anything like that,
No, who
at that
would
point.
manage to shut Justin Long up? So, do you know what I mean? Like, I was happy for it.
Started the let's kill Justin Long in every goddamn film he's in.
Just, oh, I was going to say something really mean there. I'm not going to. I
Well, the
actually like
problem with
Justin Long.
Justin Long is he's an incredibly controversial little figure as well, because you either
Mm.
love him or you hate him. You either believe the hype or you don't believe the hype, or
I just think he's a mouthy little shit who just needs to shush. Shush, Justin Long. Um, yeah, so wow, okay. That's just it's grim as fuck.
Mhm.
That is absolutely grim as fuck. But you are right, there's a because like whoever owns like it's very hard to say who owns this because Universal obviously has their bit in it.
Mhm.
The Spirit of Halloween of all places, they actually get a bit of the pie as well because they were able to do a whole exclusive in 2021 for their stores with the Killer Clown. And it just feels like the merch is like come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think the thing is when Universal gets hold of something, it can flog that horse till it's dead. And I'm not saying that's the case, but I do also think it might be a case of there was a few movies that all come out in the 80s and all of their licensing rights seem to come up at the same time. So you had like Killer Clowns, Halloween 2, you had Evil Dead 2 come out for the rights for that. You had Return of the Living Dead. There was just this mass blanket of all of a sudden seeing all of these movies having merch all of a sudden out of
Yeah.
nowhere. So I can only think that either the licensing agreements that they previously had in place had expired
Uh-huh.
and they weren't renewed. So they were able to franchise out or license out the licensing to people who would want to pay for it now rather than it being exclusive to one specific maker or person. So
Mm, yeah. Do you know there's one fact that just kept popping up over and over again, and I don't know why I've wrote it down over and over again, but to me, if we have American listeners, they might actually get this, but for me, this is just a name that I find funny. Soupy Sales.
yes, yeah, I kept coming across Soupy Sales and I was like,
Why do we keep getting this name popping up? And have we really got nothing more on facts that Soupy Sales is the one thing that keeps getting brought up?
I think he was the guy, he's so used to he's very slapstick. I think
Mm,
that was the thing. I think he was the person that was on like not necessarily kids TV, but he was that person that was always getting, from what I could fathom, I could be completely off track here, but like we had like growing up, you had God, I can't remember his name, but Shane Ritchie used to do a TV show. And you had Peter, this guy that was his psychic that was always getting thrown in the gunge and he was always getting stuck to walls. And it was a kids' show. And
oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah, and he had Shane Ritchie was the presenter,
Uh-huh.
and his mate was like the guy. I can see him clear as day, but I had just gone blank on his name. And he was the one who was constantly getting slimed and he was the guy that ended up falling over all the time. And I kind of think he was that kind of guy, the Soupy Sales. He was the one that was like, I wouldn't say he was a sidekick, but he was the guy that was getting gunged and he was the guy who's like making a fall out. He's very Marx Brotherish, like that whole slapsticky,
Slapsticky. Yeah.
wisdomy type dude. Like, I kind of feel that's the bracket he was
Yeah.
in. So
That makes sense.
I could be completely off.
No, I'm looking at him right now and it makes complete sense. Like he looks like an old timey, oh God, yeah. One of his shows from 1965, the Soupy Sales shows. It's called, oh my gosh, I haven't got my glasses on, but something in black and white, and it's him with a cream pie like across his face. Like that's the kind of comedy we're looking at. Oh wow, we had a show called Soupy's On.
Nice.
Yeah. Lunch with Soupy Sales. The Soupy Sales. He likes to have his name and everything.
It's
But
like a cooking show.
he just comes up in all like anytime I was looking at for anything, it was like, and Soupy Sales was gonna play the security guard. It's like, is that interesting? Is that really that interesting? I don't feel that it is. The only thing I did manage to, I've just realized that my notes are actually longer than what I thought they were. The creature design, the costume, clowns, and makeup are entirely practical. That's what I got.
Mm-hmm.
Detailed prosthetics creating a unique appearance of the killer clowns. Weaponry. The cocoon ray gun is a prime example of a practical effect. Pizza gag. The killer pizza scene is another iconic practical effect. You see where I'm going with this?
Yes,
Puppetry. Puppetry. Some of the clowns, practically in white dot, are actual puppets. Minimum CGI.
Yeah.
While a few scenes might be used basic CGI for things for laser beams for the spaceship's outer glow, the majority of the visual effects are achieved through practical means. That is what you get when you type in makeup, costume, anything to do with killer clowns, but you have to type the movie in. Otherwise, you get took to a YouTube tutorial on how to create a killer clown makeup. That was it.
Yep.
It's kind of infuriated us a little bit because I genuinely thought this would be the one where we would get a good makeup conversation.
I've got one thing I found, and you might have even found this, but I know that the popcorn gun was the most expensive prop ever made. It cost $7,000 to make that
I'm
popcorn gun
I'm not surprised. That's some
because it
detailed
had
gun.
it had an internal compressor in it. And it took about 6 weeks to build it because they needed to make sure it could fire the popcorn correctly. And I have to say, every time we've had popcorn guns or candy guns, candy floss guns on our stall, they have gone. We used to buy them in from Spirit and gone straight every time. And they are huge.
They're
The
massive.
guns are huge, absolutely huge.
Anth tried to convince us to buy one at For the Love of Horror, and I was like, no, no. I have nowhere to put that.
It's the problem, isn't it? It's too big. It's not practically. I don't know where it would even end up,
Yeah.
but I know that they were intending on doing some stop motion in it, but it didn't pan out. You know, Clownzilla / Jojo at the end.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be stop motion.
I can, because is it because of his size?
I presume that's what it was. They didn't want to have to miniaturize the set because that's what they ended up doing. They didn't want to have to miniaturize the set to have the clown look huge because it was going to be too much of a cost. So they wanted to do stop go because then everything could be built to scale. But I think I don't know how it went wrong. It just said that it went incredibly wrong. And that they thought it was going to be more, they thought it would be cheaper to have stop motion, but it turned out it was going to be too expensive, and they didn't realize how long it would take to do a stop motion sequence that they needed like that. And I mean, you're probably talking months of work to get that stop motion, to get that scene done. So
for all the end scene, it does actually feel like it's over in a blink of an eye, but there is a time and like there's a process of that guy, like him coming out, making his. I love when he makes his appearance, and it just looks like the whole room is just like gone, and
but
it's
that's what
just
they wanted.
him.
Yeah, that's why when you walk into that end room, it's very empty. The majority of that room is black, but it looks very full because you've got lots of clowns and you've got a few building blocks in it. That's it. That's all that's in there, and an ice cream van. And when you look at the cardboard ice cream van when he eats it and blows everybody up, I'm like, you can tell you've run out of money and time at that point, because that was horrific. That
Yeah.
was like, that was made out of it. That was like your 6-year-old nephew who made a cardboard car to sit in and was like, look at me, wee. And that's where we were, you know, some poster paint and a bit of like sellotape.
But it's the overall presence of is it Jojo?
We know him as Jojo, but they changed him, or they refer to him as Clownzilla now. So I've
Clownzilla.
always thought he was Jojo. So
the presence of him though at the end is breathtaking, and like Dave being the hero, you go, I've got this, it's fine. Like he totally did. Do you know what's so interesting? I didn't even read this, and it's a note that I put down. The film has an interesting similarity with The Blob from 1958. In both films, the first victim is an old man living in a cabin with a dog. Oh my God, yes! A cop named Dave doesn't believe the young people, and a crabby old cop seems to have a grudge against the young citizens. I told you. The remake of The Blob released the same year as this.
yeah, it did. Yeah, Shawnee Smith. Yeah,
Yeah, that still blows your mind, doesn't it?
I can't get my head around that one, but you know, I don't know how Shawnee Smith was in a film in 1988 when she looks the way she does in Saw 2. So I can't. The woman's got some fantastic genes. That's all I'm saying. Can I have some?
Oh, being kissed by an angel.
Either or.
Either or.
But I don't want any unsolicited kissing from anybody, thank you. So angels, no.
You can stay far away.
Consent is everything. Thank you.
Consent is everything. No
And
means
inform me you're
no.
planning it. Yes, thank you. So perviate.
Pervy angels. Should we gloss over the movie? Because like what I don't want to do is make this sound how it is and people go, oh, I'm not interested in watching that. Like it's because I really feel like you should give this movie a chance.
Yeah, by all means, but I've just got two things I want to talk about the soundtrack.
Absolutely. Oh,
And
how could I not bring the soundtrack up?
the main theme, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, was written by the Dickies and performed by the Dickies. Now, the Dickies are also famous for the banana splits. La 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 la. That song. So the Dickies were made originally as a parody punk band. That was their whole premise. And then it turned out that they actually kept getting hired to do serious music, but to do things. If you want the Killer Clowns soundtrack on LP now on vinyl, it's going to cost you upwards of £45 for a brand new copy, like a reprint. The original ones are going for anywhere plus £80 on, so you know, on eBay sites and things like that. But the guy that wrote the rest of the themes in it was Joe Massari, and Joe Massari was the guy who composed the Clownzilla entrance when he comes down and all that whole scene. He composed all of the other tiny little films, but that was his that's his magnum opus in this film. But the thing was, that wasn't written for this film.
Oh.
That piece of music was actually written for Friday the 13th, Jason Lives, the 1980s.
Whoa.
And they turned it down because they said it was too cliche for the slasher movie. So the Chiodos went, do you know what? That's perfect for what we need it for. So it got used. And also the Wilhelm scream is used in this film as well. And it was when the Clownzilla throws the ice cream truck. There's a scream that can be heard. And that's the scream. So yeah, and it's just also most famously, John Massari is responsible for the theme tunes of Heart to Heart and Little House on the Prairie. He wrote those as well. So the guy had provenance at that point, you know, in the TV world at least.
Hey, we may laugh at it, but that made some coin. That made some money.
It did.
I love the opening lines to the Killer Clowns song. I love the song. I have it on It's in the car all the time because I do have a set list that I play over and over again. You can probably imagine 90% of it. But there is like a very small percentage where this song and there's another one. Oh, the Monster Mash by the Misfits um is in there, but the rest is all night night kill, and they hate have me having music on in the car. But yeah, this is one of them, and I love the opening line is BT Bottom said it's what was it said? It's so long ago. There's one born every minute, don't you know? Love that line. But it's so weird because what threw me at the beginning of this song obviously kicks in, and I know this song like the back of my hand, and but then it went killer clowns. Hello, where did you come from? I've not heard you before.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Some fries, motherfucker.
Some pies, motherfucker. I feel sorry for that guy in Dexter because, to be honest with you, James, that is now all I know him for. That him walking up to Dexter and going, surprise, motherfucker. It's like that gif is the perfect gift to send anybody. It's fitting for everything.
It's the guy on TikTok who then goes, surprise, motherfucker, some fries, motherfucker, and just keeps
keeps on like changing things that rhyme with it.
But it has me in stitches.
Easily amused.
As you can tell. Well, yeah. As you can tell. Yeah, that's just I don't want to shit on this film. I don't, and I hope to God you have not getting that impression from it, because I really would I couldn't find this in the normal fashion. It's not available on Prime.
It is, but through MGM.
Oh my God, I don't
So
want
if
to
you
give
don't
MGM
subscribe to MGM, you wouldn't know it was there. But I found it because I subscribed to MGM because I watched, there was something I watched on there once, and then you forget to unsubscribe to the channel when you
That's
start.
just on Paramount, yeah. And now we're like, well, might as well just.
It's maybe Crime and Investigation, Paramount, MGM. I think there's another one on the Shudder. I've got them all on Prime. I'm like, I don't watch half those. So
I was like, oh, it's because Anth got Paramount because he wanted to watch the South Parks because they're all on, apart from a couple of episodes, which is odd, but they're all on there. So he got it, and it was like a trial thing, but we just never got rid of it. And I was like, I justified it by saying Yellowstone's on there. It's okay. Like I can't even get through an episode a week. Never like I'm not at the point where I'm like, oh, I gotta keep watching this. But now Netflix has it. So, but it's still there. I still have Paramount. So yeah, I found this in another way, the dodgy way, but I found it and I watched it and it's great. This is it is very like it is very much set blob style, small village. Small village is not a village. It's a town. A town in Crescent Cove where Mike Tobacco and his girlfriend Debbie. Mike Tobacco. Who came up with that name?
there's no words. There's no words for it. I mean,
no. But it is set up exactly the same, especially like the old man at the beginning and the dog.
Yeah.
You see what he thinks is Halley's comet.
There you go.
Comet. Halley's comet. And he's like, "Come on, doggy, let's go." I'm so glad we didn't get to see the dog's demise. Or
no, I didn't
hear
want to see Pooh Bear. I didn't want to see Pooh Bear.
Oh, did you like break your heart when he kept going, Pooh Bear? Are you there, Pooh Bear? And I was like, no, it's fucking good.
I mean, that guy as well, the guy that played the old rednecky dude, his name is Royal something. His name is really called Royal something. And he is a Western actor. His provenance is huge. The guy has done so many movies. It's insane.
Royal Dano.
That's it. And his backlog, his fucking history is insane.
What a name, though.
It's an epic name.
Royal Dano.
And he proper he turns it up to 11, the whole, where's my doggy? We're going to make millions, boy. Oh, look, it's a circus. Where's the ticket box? We can go and watch it. Let's see if they got some of them. You know, he's proper like,
Lays it on
Giddy.
thick.
Yeah, real thick. And then when he gets electrocuted and still stands up again, I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's that man made of? Like,
Royal Dano.
gee,
It's it sounds like something you would take. I'm on Royal Dano.
it does sound like Pepto-Bismol. It does sound like some
Yeah.
sleep or something.
Have
So,
you got indigestion? Take some Royal Dano.
yeah, it does. It sounds very much like that.
Well, Royal Dano kicks the bucket. He goes bye bye.
Not
Well,
in the, yeah,
he goes into a pink cocoon.
candy floss.
Okay. Another thing that I actually loved is when Debbie and Mike are your two main protagonists, who were sitting in a this is what really made me laugh, sitting in a dinghy in the back seat of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where a dinghy needs to be,
Of
is the
course,
back seat of the car. I
especially
used
when
to love
drinking champagne.
classy. I used to love a dinghy as a kid.
But the bit I didn't get, everybody else is naked, right? Basically, what they've done is they've gone up to park. And anybody that's seen any movie anywhere knows that parking means they're going to go for a snog and a bit of a touch up. I don't know what base is what. I'm too fucking old. I don't understand it. I'm English. We don't play baseball
No,
that often.
no.
Not got a clue. But they go up there to have a bit of a feel up and a bit of a snog, you know.
Bit of a
Uh,
touch.
and if you look at every other car, that's what they're doing. Not these two. No, no. Too classy. Sitting in a dinghy drinking champagne. I'm like, okay.
Now.
You could have done that at home. Why did you have to come up here to
She
do
could
it?
she could have done that with Dave, is all I'm saying. Because
Dave definitely wanted to. So
Dave would have been there in a heartbeat. It's the whole you go when the comment goes. What is my issue? When the when the star goes over their head, she gets very excited and is like, let's go and see it. And he's going, but Debbie, why would you want to do that? And she's like, well, where's your sense of adventure, Mike? Let's go over there. I have just done that absolutely accurately.
that was word for word, and it was acted to the T.
I will accept Oscar
Yes.
recommendations for that performance.
And
Yeah,
the
it
Academy
was.
Award goes to.
I'd like to thank. Yeah, the acting from Debbie and Mike is
Atrocious.
it's something to be desired. It is, but you still got to you got to stick with them. You are going to be with them for a long time.
It's for the subject matter. So
Exactly. Just remember you're in the 80s. As you're watching, just remember I'm in the 80s.
and this ain't Shakespeare. That's all you need to know.
Exactly. But then you get the two ice cream van. Now this is where the ice cream comes into it. Two brothers have an ice cream truck. What does he say when he gets out of the van?
Oh, like, do you want to take a break from necking, to have an ice cream to wet your whistle kind of thing? Like he's trying to get them all to stop kissing so they can have an ice cream so that they can, cool their lips down before they start again, and all this sort of stuff.
Oh,
And
it's
he's
so
on toast.
it is, and he's also doing it through a megaphone. So he just lands in the middle of all these cars with a megaphone. These two are your comic relief in this. And to be honest, if they made them two the main protagonists, I still think it could have worked. I think anyway. I think.
I did, but then they race off to go and find the comet, and they go to see where it
At least
is.
you can see it.
They obviously see this big circus tent, so they're thinking to themselves, oh look, there's a circus there. And so they just walk in, right, as you do. There's nobody around, but they just walk in. And it's really weird when they're walking into that first initial corridor, because it seems very industrial yet very colourful at the same time. Like you can see it's working something. It's not just like an entranceway into a tent. It's very strange. And then they come to the 3-door junction, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's the way that you're supposed to think that they get sucked into the door, but you blatantly see her push him. It's like she goes, "Ugh," and then pretends to sort of fall forward. It's like, you didn't get sucked into that doorway. Don't play that card with me, sweetheart. No.
I've pulled the quotes up
Oh
for this
God.
movie. I found it. I'm Jojo, the ice cream clown. We'll give you a stick, you give it a lick.
Oh. Classy.
Oh, that is so funny. And it'll tickle you all the way down. Ice cream, ice cream. We bought all your goodies here to you. A tasty treat for while you scream. Tasty scream for while you scream. Let's take a break. Cool off those hot lips with a frozen fruity bars. Icy, wicey, fudgy, wudgy bars. This is the dialogue you're dealing with in this movie, people. Please still go and
I mean,
watch
to be
it.
fair, he's lucky he didn't get a square punch to the teeth for that. Fudgy wudgy. They'll start
Fudgy.
throwing shit at them anyway and they drive off because
Yeah.
like they're all like, get out of here, boo.
Yeah. And this is when, what do you call them? Dave and
Mike and
Debbie. Mike and Debbie. Not Dave. Not Dave. Dave's not there yet.
No, Dave. Well, you see Dave's interaction at the police station with Mooney over the two reprobates that were caught drinking a bottle of wine whilst crossing the grass. So that just so happened to be dressed as weird goth punk dudes. So
oh, them absolute hoodlums.
terrible. Wine of all things.
How goth. If it was red. So yeah, so where are we?
They've gone into the tent and then they got
That's
stuck
it.
into this door and they realised that it is no longer a circus tent. It is clearly some sort of optical illusion because they're in the heart of what I can only think is the heart of the ship.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they yeah, it's the realization as they're going around where it's like, oh, look at all. Wait a minute. What is this?
And then they stumble into the candy, cotton candy bit where everything's hanging up and they peel back the face and find someone inside.
That is what I was about to say earlier before I probably lost my train of thought and didn't say it. That bit right there, I loved where they took and he was underneath it. I actually really liked that effect. I don't like cotton candy. Sorry, we are English. It is candy floss. To us it's candy floss, cotton candy. I nearly swiped my nephew across the face when he once asked for candy floss. I went, boy, we're English. It's candy floss, not cotton candy. He used to call pop soda.
No, dear.
No. Because again, we're English. What was I going to say? Yeah, the candy floss bit when when he takes it off. I could feel that. I could feel that. I could see the face in the background, like the I love that effect.
So from there, they then rush to Dave. This is where Dave comes into play because she goes, I have a friend. He works at the police station. Let's go tell him what we found out. And she turns around and she says, I don't think that was a star or a comet. I think that was an alien ship or something along those lines.
I actually have what she says.
Oh, God. Right. Okay.
We were up at the top of the world and we saw the shooting star and we decided to go and look for it. But instead of finding the shooting star, we saw this circus tent. And that's when we went inside. And that is where we saw these people in there, these pink cotton candy cocoons. Dave, it's not a circus tent. It was something else.
And all Dave could say was, you went to the top of the world?
What? Just reminds us of Mark Wahlberg. What? It's a transformer? Sorry. Yeah, so Dave doesn't believe a word they're saying. Dave just like crazy kids. But what Debbie failed to tell Mike is that Officer Dave is not just a friend. X. XX is right there.
Still isn't really sitting right with Mike. He has registered the fact that they're exes, but he still thinks he's the main player in this situation. He's very delusional with Mike. I want to make that very clear. Because all the way back when they're basically he says, right, Mooney's in the office with him, and he said, "Oh, go on then, you go off on your own, you indulge them, you go on this stupid chase for clowns, right?" So Dave's like, "All right, I will, see you later," and he takes Debbie and Mike and puts them in the car. The whole time Mike is in the back seat and Debbie's in the front. Dave and Debbie are having this conversation like Mike isn't even in the back of the car at all, about how they had a relationship and you didn't want to do this, and it's like, fuck you, Mike, and like off they trot. And then he's like, I'm going to drop you off at home because I don't want you coming with me, but Mike can come with me. And like Mike's like, oh god, he's going to shoot me now, isn't he? Like to Debbie as he's walking her up the stairs to go home. And then so they start to go off to where they found the circus tent, and for some reason Dave then gets really weird because the circus tent is no longer there, and he arrests Mike.
Yeah,
and I'm not really sure why he arrests him.
Puts him in handcuffs and everything in the back of the car. There's absolutely no way. You can't get arrested for false information.
There's a big fuck off crater. You can see something was there. That's the bit. It's not like, okay, yeah, all right, a circus tent, far-fetched dude, don't know what drugs you're on, but I can see there's a crater, so there was clearly something there.
Yeah, but let's get you home.
Yeah, let's not even acknowledge the fact that you are right in any capacity, and I'm just going to arrest you and stick you in the car.
Yeah,
it's
then
only
he regrets that
you're dating my girlfriend. But, that's it.
Absolutely. The pleading and begging with Dave, I was like, Officer Dave, like, have a bit of self-respect. Stop begging. You sound pathetic. And it's that, but Dave, like, I can't get it out of my head. Debbie's like, she's so whiny and pathetic.
She's very typecast to that kind of part of the time, I feel, considering they were trying to do the swap of the woman, the airhead swap thing, and it didn't really work. It stated everywhere I looked that that's what their intentions were, but it just didn't come across like that. And then it took for Dave to run over all the people that had been eaten by a shadow puppet T-Rex, for him to actually let Mike go at that point.
Yeah, that's when he believed him, is when he watched a clown doing a shadow puppet of a T-Rex that then ate people.
Waiting at a bus stop.
Because that's normal life. And he went, "Oh, let's get these handcuffs off you, and we'll look into this together. We're in this together now." Poor Dave. Poor Dave. Poor Dave, poor Mike.
Debbie's just having a shower. Debbie's just happy to go and have a shower. Considering she was supposed to sneak out, I thought she backed out on that pretty quickly. Because I wouldn't be like, if you just promised your boyfriend you'd sneak back out to try and help him, and you're deciding then to go and have a full shower, and I'm not just talking about a shower. She's washing her hair. Now, if you're a woman, I want to make this point very, very clear. Washing your hair means one of two things. You're going out somewhere later on in the day, like a big event or something, so you'll wash your hair either the night before or the early morning to give it a chance to settle before you do it, or you're going to fucking bed. That's the only two times you wash your hair. You don't wash your hair and then go out again later. Like,
no, you are in the house. You are staying in the house.
Yeah, it was just like, and then she was dressed like some sort of weird, I kind of thought she was a bit Navajo-y. She had like this weird,
It was a choice.
Not weird, but this Angora style knit jumper with like this beadwork necklaces. Then she had what looked like a wolf earring, and then just one, by the way, just one wolf earring. And then she had these really strange like Native American like rat boots on with a pair of trainers. And I was like, I don't know what this is. This isn't even 80s. This is a whole nother level of, I don't know. I'm sure you're going for something.
Bohemian Gone Wild.
And
I didn't pay much attention to the outfit. It was more the hair. I was like, yay, get that 80s hair, girl.
Yeah, and the bouffante's great. But this is where the popcorn that was attached to their clothes, because one of them shot some popcorn at them, turned into 2 laundry basket puppets. Then there was 2 that came out of somewhere else, and then 1 came out of the loo, didn't it?
Yeah, it was just the one across the floor that, like, I was like, jeez.
They're like, it's like a weird snaky kind of thing with a killer clown head on it. The popcorn had gone from popcorn into those things.
Yes. 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 Sorry, just flashback just happened right there. Yes. That was, see, again, that's so impressive, but we're never gonna know about it. I feel like we've been gypped in this movie, by the way. Absolutely gypped. Gypped. Telling you. So Mike and Dave, where are they? Where does Mike and Dave go?
They go back to the Mike goes off. I think he
Yes.
goes off to find Debbie, doesn't he? And then Dave goes back to the police station. I know Dave goes back to the police station.
Yes, that's right, because Officer Grouchy Pants has been taken over by the clowns, and he is now one of them.
He's a meat puppet.
Yeah. Oh, what a nice one. Oh, I like that. Meat puppet.
I just don't know where Fatso had his hand.
Ha! Yeah. He even had like the red ventriloquist.
It was the blood that made the bottom, because he had blood coming out of either side of his mouth that made that kind of flappy, dummy bottom of the mouth. Yeah.
And then the red rose. It's something on the lines of "You will join us, one of us." Google gobble.
It was, yeah, it was the one of us. It was the way when he was in the when he arrested the clown, right? And he put him in the cell, and the clown turns his entire head completely Exorcist style, right back on behind, like, so he's looking up, his bum and his face are in the same sort of on the same side. And even then he's like, he's not phased, but he's kind of like angry about the fact he can do that. And he's like, I don't know what you are, but I'm gonna have fun, finding out, or something. It's really cheesy, like line.
Oh, I'm supposed to read you your rights, but you're in Mooney's jail. And in Mooney's jail, you ain't got no rights. Remind me in the future to start looking at the quotes.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, they set up the fact that obviously he was gonna get it, and then you see the clown get one of those party blower things, the streamer things. He blows it, and it comes out, but then it turns into a hand, and it strangles Moody and kills him. So
impressive.
The next thing you see is then when Dave comes in and Moody's sat on his lap, and the clown is using him as a meat puppet, and he's talking through him, and then it's just the way he sort of pulls his hand out, and it's covered in blood, and he flicks it off, and then just pushes Mooney to the floor. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I quite like that.
Yeah. Is this where Officer Dave gets his first kill?
Yes, he realizes how he can kill him at this point.
It's brilliant, by the way. This is a genius kill point. The nose.
He tries shooting him in the body, and I'm like, go for the head, like you always do. Go for the head, for God's sake. And then he hits the nose, and the nose explodes, and then they turn into this big green ball of
thing. This big thing. It's just there. It's there. And yeah, it just goes. It goes.
It's where they twizzle round really, really quickly, and then they go green, and then they explode.
And imagine that's how I would go out. Just twizzle around, go green, down. It's the nose. It's like glass, but it's a life form. And take that nosy woozy away, they go down like a bag of shit. Quite literally. So yeah, Officer Dave now knows how to get rid of them. But what we then see is all the clowns out and about. So you get Shorty, who's on his little tricycle, and he meets a biker gang. So cute.
Gonna knock your block off. And he uppercuts the biker, and he knocks the biker's head entirely off his shoulders.
It's the delayed reaction of the head going into the bin to the woman screaming. There's a huge gap. I was like, if you see your mate's head getting flung off its shoulders by a little, I mean, the calmness of them to start with, that a little clown is in front of them is brilliant, because I'd be having hysteria over that. Even though I'm not scared of clowns, but you've got that thing in front of you, and you're like, huh, why? Like, no, I'm clearly sick at this point. So yeah, you get Shorty knocking the head off someone. You get the pizza one where he goes to the door and she's like, "Huh, pizza.
Hmm.
Well done. Observant.
In
He
her
has it
lace.
in his hand."
Yeah.
It's how the clowns come in. So there's obviously and they just go, hmm. I like that touch. I did like that touch.
They still had
Um,
urges.
still had what?
Still had urges, clearly. They could
But
recognize
the
things.
feminine.
Yeah. And then the Valentine's chocolates or card
Yeah,
or whatever that was, there's that one.
there's that one. I think of what else.
I can't think of what else.
I can't think of what else. Because Shorty scene does kind of like steal all the rest of them, to be honest. Because like they're really mean to him. Like this big biker gang just stab on him over his bike, and he goes, and then all of a sudden he just jumps into the air, comes back down with boxing gloves on, and just absolutely swipes this dude's head off,
Hmm.
as he do. So I feel like basically after this is where Mike, Debbie, and Dave are back in the tent, and this is just where we get all the clowns coming out, and we get the big one at the end, and Dave does the whole heroic "Leave, I'll save the day, you go," when clearly he does not want that man to leave with that woman.
No, but he wants to be the hero, so he's torn.
Exactly. Officer Dave becomes the hero because I honestly do love this end scene with the big killer clown, the big Jojo clown. Please get off. Um, the big killer clown. But yeah, Officer Dave is struggling. He's in the grists of he's in the King Kong hold, getting pulled up in the air, which is freaking fantastic. And then he's like, "What have I got on his my star?" Why didn't he just punch it?
To be honest with you, I'm still not 100%. I don't know why I didn't. I really don't know why I didn't. But it did look a lot like me holding him, like my little Frankenstein there. You know, there's one shot where you can tell he's holding a toy, like a
Yeah.
one inch. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay, the budgetary restraints and shit. And this was a last minute thing, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But he doesn't he gets his star and just puts it in his nose and shatters it, and there you go. Big clown is gone. But I feel like while this is all happening, Mike and Debbie, well, I want to keep calling her Karen. I don't know why. She looks a bit like a Karen. But Mike and Debbie like run off and they see the ship go up, don't they? Because they think Officer Dave's dead.
Hmm.
And this so it must go off up, boom, but he's actually out of it because he's
Question.
yeah. Okay.
Why was he in a taxi cab?
Oh shit, yeah, he just rocks up in a taxi, doesn't he, at the
There's
end?
a clown taxi that's fallen out of the sky, and he gets out of this taxi cab, and I'm like, the dude, where was this taxi cab? Because he literally just exploded a giant clown.
Yeah.
How did he get into this like taxi? Is it like a joke to say he got there in a taxi? I don't. If it was, it went over my head. That was the bit I was like,
Nah,
I
it
don't
drove straight.
actually understand that bit.
Nah, it drove straight past me because I
Right.
generally nah, didn't even didn't even put two and two together. Just was like, oh, Officer Dave's back. Um, and this is where this is where you get one of the like we've had killer clowns. We've had some absolutely messed up candy floss cocoons, but this has to be the creepiest part of this movie when all three of them are hugging each other, embracing. Oh my God, I can't believe we're over this. Dave goes in to smell Debbie's hair.
Well, at least she just washed it. Let's be honest. It's probably the
Maybe that's
appropriate time if you are going to sniff hair. You know,
maybe that is it, but he does it. Either he goes to kiss the top of her head, or he proper inhales her hair. It's so strange. But it's the one thing. I was like, I've got to remember that part at night, like, because that's so weird. And then it ends with them being hit with pies.
yeah, they all look up out of nowhere and then they're just completely pelted with a load of pies. And I was just like,
Pies in the face. and the movie ends because
Who
the
did that?
spaceship fireworks. Who? Well, if you think the spaceship's gone up in the fireworks and the explosions and
So
yeah,
it's supposed to
pies
come down, maybe.
could be yeah pies in the face. But what I did read about that scene is that they had to ask the crew to do it from a distance because doing it from where they were was really hurting the actors. And I always remember William Atherton in Ghostbusters when they drop the marshmallow because they do just drop the marshmallow on it, and he went, if you want a genuine reaction, just don't tell us when you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't tell us. So they didn't, and they just dropped it on him. So what the reaction you're getting from William Atherton in Ghostbusters is genuine, but it really, really hurt him because of the height that they dropped it at, which was the same as what they were going through. The how far they were standing quite close. It was really hurting them. So they were like, "Can you just back off a little bit, please? Give us some space. I'm sure we can get this shot without losing an eye through pie."
Mm. Well, that
Because
makes
nobody wants to explain that story, do they?
no. I mean, it is a cool story, but no.
Who
I
wants to
mean,
lose? Aye.
this film did pretty good in the box office worldwide. It took 43 million, but I didn't do the exchange rate this time. But it on a 2 million budget, it took 43 million in 1988 worldwide. So that I would say that's a damn good return for 88 for sure.
Yeah. So I don't come to these things for maths, because I'm shit at it. But when I read it was 2 million for the budget, even now, like for 88, I was like, shit,
That's a
that's some
lot.
money. Yeah, that's some money. But you can see where it's gone to.
Hmm.
It's how beautiful this film looks.
Yeah,
And I know,
everything is done practically. There's
uh
very minimal CGI, except for when the one's riding the car that's invisible and he's got headlights on his feet. That whole section was very, very expensive to make because they had to brush all the car out and back. You're going back then, or
yeah.
not the car, but whatever they were using at the time. So
Yeah, it's for all it. The thing is, this is the type of movie that we scream for, that we say, "Oh, we want to see more practical effect." Well, this is it.
mm,
This is completely it. I urge anyone to go and watch it. I feel like you will absolutely love it because it's so 80s. It's like, mwah, love it. Um, I have nothing more. Honestly, I don't know how we've managed to talk this long about this film, to be honest. It's not how I expected it to go. I really thought we would have a really good monster makeup-y talk, but unfortunately, cat lips on this one. But I gotta ask you, did you do it?
twice.
Shut up.
I've got two, right? And
Okay.
I did the first one and it was short, so I was a bit disappointed. So I had another look up like if there was any other way.
Mhm.
And there was. So I've done two. So I'll do the short one first.
Do you want to tell everyone what you're doing?
Dan's Tedious Link. Again, if anybody has any other name for it, I'm all ears. But at the moment, that's where we are with it. But okay, so the first one is John Verron, who plays Curtis Moody, was in an episode of Tales from the Crypt called Seance. Seance also co-starred Kathy Moriarty, who is mostly known as playing the villainess in Casper, and she was also Sylvester's mum in Kindergarten Cop. Kindergarten Cop also starred Penelope Ann Miller, who played Brenda in Adventures in Babysitting, which was Chris's best friend who gets stuck at the train station. That's the
Right.
first one. The
That's
second one
okay.
is Suzanne Schneider, who was Debbie, played Deb in Weird Science. Robert Downey Jr. played Ian in Weird Science. He's mostly famous for his portrayal of Kirk Lazarus in Tropic Thunder. You know, that's the only part people know him for. But he did a tiny, tiny little part in an underrated franchise called he played a guy called Tony Stark. I don't know if you've heard about him.
No.
No. He had a co-star in that franchise called Chris Hemsworth, who played a character called Thor, but he was also in a movie called Cabin in the Woods. And Bradley Whitford also is in Cabin in the Woods. He played Steve, the controller, and he also played Mike in Adventures in Babysitting. So twice to two different characters.
Right.
I'm
Now,
loving this. I'm absolutely loving doing this. It's making
as-
my day. I don't know why. It's such a stupid thing, but I love it.
I I think it really just it stretches your brain a bit. Like you've got to really think. I had no doubt for this one. I had a feeling this one might you would have done this. It was last week when we did a movie from 1932, and you still managed to connect the dots back to Adventures in Babysitting.
Easy as well, which was surprising because I did not expect it. You look at it from both ways. You
Hmm.
look from the film we're covering this way, and then you look at Adventures in
Yeah.
Babysitting this way, and you see do they intersect and do they cross? And it doesn't take long for me because I do have a mental Rolodex. My tisms kick in, and I am like, I turn into fucking Rain Man when it comes to this shit. I don't know why. It's just what my brain retains. That some
Okay.
people have card tricks and can count cards like Rain Man. Me, I could tell you movies. I can do spot the intro on TV shows and movie like theme tunes. I can name it in like a second. But yeah.
My special power is I tell you who's dead.
Hey, we've all got our things.
Got all
But
across the bear. This is mine.
I love doing this, and I know that we did say I might change the film, and I know people
Oh,
have possibly asked the fact of why is it not a horror movie we're linking it all back to, just purely because I'd set myself a challenge off the cuff of seeing could I do that, could I link it to my favorite, one of my all-time favorite movies, and I'm like, it's not a random film, but it's random in the context of what we are doing
I
here.
yeah, absolutely. But I think we've been doing this long enough now to where people should know us a little bit. If you don't know a lot, no problem. That's fine. I do a Sunday show. I talk a load of shit on that one too. Where you would know a little bit about us, and you will know a little bit about Dan. And if you do know Dan, you know this movie is her favorite movie.
Mm.
But I don't mind that it's not horror. I think that's the best part of it because it's so out there. How do you connect? What did we do last week? White Zombie to Adventures in Babysitting. Well, Dan will show you how you do it.
Next week's I'm intrigued about. I'm very intrigued about next week's. So
Yeah, I think you might. We'll see. I've got faith in you. I've got all the faith in you. But next week, um, it is Stephen King, right?
no,
It's not.
Clive Barker.
Okay. Good job. I whispered that nobody could hear.
No one heard.
Nobody heard us. Yeah, next week we're going. We've done Clive Barker before with
Man.
Candyman. I absolutely love that episode. We're going back to Clive Barker with something my husband is going to be very happy with that we're covering, so I get to watch this film because the last time I tried, I fell asleep. We're doing Nightbreed, everyone.
Yep.
Nightbreed.
Prosthetics. Fingers crossed. There's more information on the special effects on this one.
Oh, I hope so. I honestly thought we were going to have a gem on our hands here. I really did. But hey, if they're not going to give us if it's not out there, I can't make it up. I can't sit there and say it well. I'm not that clever.
And we try and pride ourselves on bringing you what we know and what we check and what we try and do. There's going to be times when we present you with information that might not be on the whole correct, but when you're presented with it yourself, when you're researching
Mhm.
numerous amounts of times and there's nothing out there that negates it, we have to present that as what we see as the truth or the
Yeah.
fact. And that's what we try our best to do. Everything you hear out of us is researched and checked as well as we can check it and things like that. So it's really, you'll never get anything that is bullshit unless we sat there and gone, I heard this, but it's bullshit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're not
And I think we're very
stats and
true.
facts. So you'll always get the truth out of us when it comes to something like this.
That's what we said from the very first episode. We are a factoid filled monster loving. Yeah.
Yeah.
That. So yeah, next week, Nightbreed. Honestly, don't know why. Thought Stephen King. Don't know where my brain went to there. But hey, it's not. Clive Barker, more interesting. I find him fascinating. but
Yeah.
I'm scared to get into that head.
Don't
Like,
get into that head.
like I'm in Stephen King. Like, I'm still in my Stephen King thing. I'm reading it at the moment. It's a chore.
A lot.
But oh, it's just it's so weird the difference between what I have just read to what it's just weird. And I can't get past that. So I'm cheating a little bit. I'm doing audio and I'm reading. So what I don't get on audio, I'll then pick up with my book and vice versa. I'm cheating because it's fucking difficult.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. So and I want to finish because I've got Misery there and I've got Salem's Lot. I don't know anything about Salem's Lot. I've gone nearly 42 years without knowing the whole plot to Salem's Lot. So I'm ready to do this. But yeah, sorry, we're not doing Stephen King at all. It's Clive Barker. Very different person. So we are on YouTube every Monday. Our episodes drop on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel on a Monday morning. Audio for this episode goes up on Monday at tea time. I'm just saying tea time now because, again, put it up at 4 o'clock the other day.
Or to us Southerners, dinner time.
Us Northerners, it's tea time. You Southerners, it's dinner time. Dinner time. Dinner time is like dinner time. It's like 1 o'clock.
That's lunch.
It's dinner. It's dinner. Tea
Breakfast, lunch,
time.
dinner. Yeah.
Don't
Tea,
tell me
a tea
it's
time is like picky food after dinner if you're still hungry. That's tea time. That's like having something for tea.
that's
Like,
supper for us.
I see. It's the north-south divide. What for
Oh,
gap?
we finally hit it.
See, to our listeners that come from any other country, we have such a Sammy lives three hours away from me. I'm on the east coast and Sammy's on the northeast coast. So it's literally a straight line up. However, everybody just thinks London is the only place that exists in the whole of the UK. I'm
not.
about an hour and a half drive from London. So I am, but I was born there. So I am, that's how my brain is programmed. I lived there for a very, very long time and then I moved away and now I live on the east coast. But there's no east coast west coast divide or anything like that, but there is this north south disparaging thing. So she lives just behind the wall, so she's not technically a wildling. You're the other side, aren't you? You're
Yeah.
this side of the wall.
No, I'm the other. No, yeah, no.
You're a wildling?
Northumberland. No, no. I'm Stark.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd be a Stark. Yeah. No, am I? I don't know. Wow, I don't even know my own geography. I must be. Has to be. But yeah, I'm further up, and clearly, as you can tell, there's a difference. There's some things that I would say that Dan wouldn't, or vice versa.
Nebosh.
Nebosh.
Yeah.
It's all I say now. Like, I know you're expecting it.
I know what it means though, and I didn't even have to ask. That's the
No.
thing, 'cause I know exactly what it meant. So
No, anytime Dan asks us anything, I just go, I Nebosh.
yeah, to anybody else that means no bother, not a problem, whatever.
No problem. Yeah, if you're
Cool.
speaking the Queen's English, not Northern slang. So yes, episodes out on a Monday on Nerdy Up North YouTube on a Monday morning, and later on during the day on audio. You have to, if you can, search Monsters Up North on your audio platform to find us. But we're just part of the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel. The links for Bleeding Marvelous, just hit me microphone. Bleeding Marvelous, Monsters Up North, and Nerdy Up North are where, Dan?
Down there, down
They're
there,
down
down
there.
there.
You've still got hands. You haven't burst into flames yet.
Not yet. There's still time.
Is there?
Yeah.
Just imagine. Oh, no, that's not. So yes, the links are down below. If you are watching on YouTube, please remember to hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Because as much as we are not really particularly bothered about having a premiere, if you do hit the notification bell when the episode goes out, you'll be notified. You will be let known that we are there for you to watch on a Monday morning. Sorry that you get us on a Monday morning. Actually, we'll cheer your day up.
Yeah.
I'm a ray of sunshine.
We'll start your Monday the way it's supposed to be started.
Yay. Oh, this episode. I'm glad it's over because it's Again, love the movie, but not the best when it comes to round research, and especially when what we want to do. But hey, we've got more to come. We got some really good episodes planned out. I'm actually really excited. Yay! So is there anything else left to say? If there's anything else left to say, say goodbye, Dan.
Son of a bitch. Bye.
Stay spooky, everyone. Bye. Bye.